What's going on, the Copywriting Call podcast? Your boy Loso 2.0, the copycat himself. I got some of my beard. And today we're going to be talking about Esau, right? So for you guys that don't know, Jacob and Esau were twin brothers, basically both born in the Bible together. And Esau came out first and Jacob was holding on to the heel of Esau, which there's probably a lot of breakdown into that. And that's when I will talk about Jacob probably, later this week or next week. And that's when you'll get the breakdown on that. But Esau is what we're talking about today. Now, Esau in Hebrew means hairy, hirsute, rough, shaggy. Okay. And like I said, he is the son of Isaac and the twin brother of Jacob, right? So Esau, what does he mean? The body or physical vigor. He is the carnal mind. He is the physical, what you see right now in front of you. Everything physically, right? Everything that's physical and you can actually feel, touch, see, basically kind of like that seeing and believing type of thing, right? Esau is physical. So that's what he is. In the immature consciousness, the natural man is moved by desire. So when your consciousness is immature, everything desire is the only thing that pushes you, right? So, and that's what kind of makes me think about people that are like, oh, it's hard for me to, stop lusting over different women and stuff like that. And the reason why it's hard for them to do that, and like, I don't know how you got married at 24. The reason why it's so difficult for some of them to do that is because of the fact that their consciousness is immature right now. They need to find a way to make their consciousness more mature and also gain that emotional intelligence, right? Because emotional intelligence will always be IQ. EQ will always, or emotional quotient will always be more powerful than intelligent, quotient. So people that are real logical and smart, they may not be as good as, or may not be as powerful as people who emotionally understand their emotions. They understand how to use their emotions. And when you know how to use your emotions, this is why the whole point of my thing is copywriting call, regardless of me talking about mindset, regardless of me talking about, relationships, spirituality, and then there's marketing in there as well. Copywriting goes down to the deep part of persuasion, right? And persuasion comes down to your EQ and your ability to control other people's emotions. So this all starts with emotions and mindset at the end of the day. So that's why, when your consciousness is, you have to mature your consciousness, okay? So it says, it also means appetite and passion are satisfied regardless of the higher law. So when you just are running off a desire, you're basically just using your animal instinct and whatever you feel you're doing, right? So like, even though you may feel like I'm not saying there's not other attractive women in the world, right? But just because I think women are attractive doesn't mean my body instinct will go to like trying to, get with them, right? But you might have an immature consciousness where you just let that Esau take over, and that Esau will literally, my phone was checking on my rabbits, their Esau take over you, and your Esau is going to allow you to just naturally just want everything that naturally you feel, right? Oh, I feel, hungry, so I'm gonna eat. That's the gluttony, right? Oh, I'm feel in the mood, so you know what? I will go have sex with whoever, basically wants to. That goes down to your Esau in the whole thing, okay? So definitely don't let your body fall victim to the Esau or the natural part of it. Now I said Esau sold his birthright for a mess of pottage, and that goes back to it, right? And wow, now that I think about it, Esau sold his birthright because he was he was like a hunter, right? And Jacob was like, I forgot. I'm so sorry. Education. It was something with the field, right? And Jacob was basically doing his thing, and Esau was like, listen, I'm hungry, brother. Please, give me some food. And instead of staying disciplined, Jacob was like, listen. And Jacob was smart, right? Jacob was real persuasive. He was a copywriter, okay? So Jacob literally told Esau, listen, I will do this. Like he knew what his emotions were. He knew how Esau was, how he was physical, and how he could manipulate him or influence him. Jacob just straight up said, listen, Esau, I will allow you to basically get some of my food if, I'll give you this pottage if you sign your birthright over to me. And then Esau was like, okay, cool. That's cool, bro. Just anything for me to eat, anything for me. Because he was only following his bodily instincts, his physical over his emotional quotient. right? And that's why he was immature in his consciousness. And then he ended up selling his birthright over to Jacob, right? So that's why I'm saying Esau is the physical man in you, right? He's physical. This is what we talked about. He's the physical part of your body. Esau is that natural desire because you're the natural man because your consciousness is immature. You have a very immature consciousness and emotions, and you allow these desires to take over. Whenever you feel hungry, you eat. Whenever you feel, in the mood, you just go have sex, right? Instead of that sexual transmutation that we talked about in maturing. Remember, EQ, emotional quotient, is always over IQ, right? And this is why Esau sold his birthright over for, a pot, some food. Because he was so hungry that he was like, I'm willing to do anything for it. Because he was falling victim to that natural desire, that natural man, regardless of what the higher law is. Right? That's the big point right there. You'll do it regardless of how it affects anybody else or whatever the law is. You will break that in order to follow your Esau. Right? And then it says the threat of Esau against Jacob's life represents the inward rebellion that we often feel when we change our modes of thought. So Esau threatened Jacob because he sold his birthright over to him. And he was like, basically like, yo, I'm gonna kill you type of thing, right? He threatened Jacob because this is what happens, right? When your intelligence, when your IQ gets over your EQ, when your EQ gets over your bodily desires or bodily function, you're gonna constantly have that fight in between, right? Remember I told you what polarity. Remember I told you polarity, right? Polarity is two things that are one and the same. It's just dang, I keep getting the second part messed up. But that's the point though. Everybody has Esau, everybody has Jacob. And your Esau and Jacob are constantly battling with each other within you. Your Esau is trying to rebel against your Jacob and trying to get that higher consciousness, that mature consciousness, trying to get you to do something that you probably wouldn't have done beforehand, right? But it's the fact that you have to constantly keep working at Jacob. You have to constantly keep doing things to help yourself be more productive, to help yourself grow. You have to keep doing these things in order to grow this Jacob, and so it can combat this Esau. Because like I said, if you don't, your Esau will just take over. You hear me? So if you don't do what you got to do, your Jacob will just take over your Esau. And if your Jacob takes over your Esau, bro, it's like when your Esau takes over your Jacob, that's when you make these mistakes. That's why these people go and they, cheat on their, woman, when they cheat on their, man. You can't go out there and cheat on your girl, man. You can't do that because you just feel like something, right? You just see something, so you do it, right? No, that is the Esau in you. That is your lower self. Your lower self, your Esau. You always have to keep using your Jacob and keep using that to perform, okay? So like I said, remember, Jacob over Esau. You need both, though. You definitely need both, but Jacob over Esau. Now, I want you guys, if you guys are watching this on YouTube, subscribe, like this channel, share, comment below, whatever you got to do. You're listening to this on any of the podcast channels, please 5 stars, leave a review. I love to read out the reviews, all right? So at the end of the day, I just want you guys to keep killing the day. And just remember, you pray for marketing like this. Copy God out.